Smallest meeting ever, huh?
Well, this is how small it can be.
All right. Let's see what's happening in this cute little booklet today.
Live? All right. Calling the Board of Directors meeting, public hearing, Wednesday, October, what's today? Yeah.
18th.
Wednesday, October 18th, 5:30 at Hammond City Council Chambers. Call to order, roll call. Michelle.
Todd DeLon,
Here?
John Exnicius,
Here.
Elspeth Hollywood, Chelsea Kesnick, Kaylee Norton,
Here.
Cassie Reagan,
Here.
Evan Singer.
All right. New business. Accepting nominations for DD board members serving the East Side property and/or business owner seat through Friday, December 1st, 2023.
Yes, so for our board seats that will be opening, that are open for nomination, I looked back to some of our past records, and we do a public hearing for East and West Side property owner, just as a, I guess, gesture to notify the public that this is open, since all of our other seats are more direct contact with the mayor or the chamber or the largest assessed property owners. So basically, at this point in time, if anyone were interested in nominating themselves, this would be the formal setting for them to do that. You also will see in your packet a draft of something that I've put together to provide to potential board members before they go through the whole nomination process and get appointed by the city council, so that they're aware of what they're signing up for. It basically just kind of outlines, that we're a governmental agency, and each of the board seats, how they're appointed or nominated, so they're all appointed by the council, the eligibility requirements, and then the additional state requirements that they have to abide by for as a part of their service on the board. So this is the formatting printed a little bit weird, but basically, when someone is interested in learning more about becoming a board member, we now have this together that we can inform them of, we're a government, you will be basically an agency head of the DDD. You have to abide by the state code of ethics. You also have to do personal financial disclosures. We are subject to open meetings. So I recognize that those are things that people don't recognize before they join, and just kind of putting all that out there, that this is kind of what they're signing up for, as it has been requested over time for us to just have that available so people know what they're signing up for. So like I said, this is a draft. If you see anything that you would like to have edited or revised, certainly let me know. But the forms for the East Side and West Side seats are in here. That's the only one that we have forms for, because they have to get 5 basically letters of support from the respective business or property owners. And then just a checklist of all the items that we need whenever they're submitting their nomination to us, and the process that we have to take for their eventual appointment with the council.
Okay. And how are we getting this out there to the public, at least?
So this is our first thing. We'll send a newsletter advertising that the seat is open, and there are no term limits. So technically, Todd serves that seat right now. If he would like to,
Okay, that's yours. Okay. No.
yeah. So if you would like to follow the process again to fill the seat again, then that's available to you. But it's also just it's open as a competitive process if any others decide to throw their hat into the ring. So we'll be doing our newsletter. If you are conducting business in downtown and think that there'd be someone that would be good for that role, I encourage our board members to also do some outreach, and it's more direct and kind of online, and we can do social media, although we usually don't. The mayor-appointed seat and the chamber-appointed seat are also open. So usually that's more of a direct notification to the mayor, city administration, and then the leadership of the chamber, so that they can provide us with their nominee. And
Okay.
then that.
And they're already aware that that's coming, I guess, right? Or,
Yeah, I'll send them a formal notification next week. Both of them are kind of tied up with the air show, so I didn't want it to get lost, but they will be getting notified.
okay. Sounds good. Anything else on that? Next up, let's see.
Excuse me.
So basically, we just do like roll call again to go into the meeting.
Okay, roll call.
Well, what do you want to say, like Board of Directors regular meeting?
Board of Directors, regular meeting, Wednesday, October 18th, to 6 PM here, but 5:36 PM. Roll call, please, Michelle.
Todd DeLon,
Here.
John Exnicius. Elizabeth Hollywood, Chelsea Kesnick, Kaylee Norton,
Here.
Cassie Reagan,
Here.
Evan Singer.
I just have a question. Was it advertised this meeting's at 6 and not at 5:30? Is this what was,
This was the agenda that was published.
This is 5:30 though, right?
so
Do we have to,
technically we're
we
not,
have to wait for the next part until 6?
No, so it says at 6 PM or at conclusion of public hearing.
okay. I just
I
want to
see.
make sure.
Yep, well, there's no public here, so I'm assuming that that's the conclusion.
That's how the city council has whenever they have to include a public hearing with their agenda, that's how they,
I would say in the future that you put the early time, or instead of saying 6, instead of saying a later time, say 5:30 or when it concludes. That way there's no confusion. So if somebody in the public read this and they saw 6, then they might not show up until 6.
okay. Yeah, I can do that. Like I said, I just kind of followed what the city council had for their structure, but we can make that change moving forward.
Okay. Old business, approval of the September 2023 financial report. So, do we have a quorum?
We do for that because nobody has to abstain.
Okay.
We skipped financial report.
Oh, he's on
That's what he
financial
said.
report.
Oh, for financial
Yeah.
report? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
When you said abstain, I thought you were talking about meeting minutes.
No,
Yeah.
sorry.
So I just some notes here for the financial report. Topelaw has paid off their loan, so we're closing that out. Luma closed on their loan on October 5th, so we'll see that reflected in the October financial report. And just an update on the property tax revenue, just because I was a little concerned about the timing of when the checks kind of come in. Since property taxes are due at the end of the year, we see more of those payments in December, January, and February. So if you kind of see discrepancy of like revenue versus expenses, that is the reason why. It's because those checks usually come through towards the end of the year and beginning of the year.
I move that we approve the September financial report.
I'll second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius.
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood, Chelsea Kesnick, Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
All right, next up, approval of the meeting minutes for August 16th, 2023.
That's the one that we
Don't have
don't
enough.
have a quorum for.
Yeah.
Okay, so make a motion to table.
Second.
I'll second.
Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius,
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood, Chelsea Kesnick, Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
All right, and then the next one is approval of meeting minutes from September 2023, and it looks like we probably have to table that as well, so I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
Do we?
Yeah, Todd wasn't.
I wasn't here.
There's only 3 people who can vote.
Got it, okay. Who second?
I did.
You did, okay. Todd DeLon,
Yes.
John Exnicius.
Yes.
Elizabeth Hollywood, Chelsea Kesnick, Kaylee Norton,
Yes.
Cassie Reagan,
Yes.
Evan Singer.
All right, new business, design committee report, Cassie?
Okay, I think there's a layout of kind of what we talked about at that meeting. Although we did have a design review for Gray Cat. They are moving from Railroad Avenue to Kate Street. And they just brought it was basically signage. They brought some signage that they want to do. So we took a look at that. And then also, what's the gentleman's name?
Robbie Klein.
Robbie Klein came in, and that house is on Cherry,
Yes, 207.
207 Cherry. And again, that was paint colors. And we asked that he modify them somewhat. So I don't know how far that will go. Has he haven't been by that way? Has he started painting?
I don't think he started painting. I think his last time I spoke with him, he was seeing to what degree he needed a permit from the city to do the work.
To paint?
Yeah.
It did bring up that the design committee at some point needs to look at, so anything that's in the historic district is guided by historic district standards for colors that can or cannot be used. But the rest of the DD is kind of wide open. So it's something that the design committee will have to look at in the future to see if they want to put some, kind of align itself with historic commission standards or modify that somehow. But there's not a lot of leeway for us as a committee to say yes or no, you can't do that. So it's more of a recommendation. The other things that we talked about, our kind of primary was kind of setting some goals for next year. And these are just goals. And of course, anything that requires spending money has to come here. But talked about trying to work with the city, work with DOTD, bring a group together and pick an intersection in downtown and make it a pedestrian-friendly intersection and let it be the standard for all the other intersections as we move through time. And since Oak and Thomas has been extremely problematic with wrecks and pedestrians being hit, that might be the
First
one
on the
to
list.
put as the top priority and try to put something together and bring as many people, entities together as we can, look at grants that might be out there and try to put something together that is just a great prototype and pedestrian traffic.
And I know we talked about that before, but what is the main cause of that happen? Why is that always there? What's the reason? It's just the lack of.
So what DOTD
sight?
did is they added 2-second delay to that light. So it turns red and there's a 2-second delay before the other side turns green. And I think that's helped some. What was also supposed to happen, but I don't think everything happened that was supposed to, is some of the parking spaces leading up to Oak Street were
Wow.
supposed to be eliminated. So the people on Oak Street could see if somebody's speeding through that, because that's what happens, I think, sometimes is, you got the green light, you go, and then somebody's running the red light, and this car gets hit, or vice versa. So I know a little bit of that was done, but I don't think it was all done. That would probably be city.
Yeah.
So anyway, there are some things that have happened. There haven't been as many wrecks, I don't think, as there have been, but there's ways to bring the curbs
cuts.
out into the area, create a shorter distance that pedestrians have to actually walk. Talked about looking into the push button so that, I'm a pedestrian, I push the button and the lights get changed. That's obviously coordination with DOTD and the city. And hopefully there would be some grants or something to do that. But there are cities our size who have done that. So that's a priority, is to look into that. Once Railroad Park is complete and we see how the signage comes out, talked about taking a look at that and seeing if it would be appropriate to start doing plaques that we could put on historic buildings in downtown and create or initiate a self-guided tour through downtown Hammond. So that's something, that hopefully could get started next year. It's probably not a start and finish next year. And we also talked about doing a assessment of the street trees we have, specifically street trees, meaning the ones that are in the sidewalks. Looking to see what's thriving, what's not thriving. Some trees have reached their maximum because the collar at the grate is cutting into it. Some of them are just not, no matter how many times they get replanted every year or each year, they're going to get vandalized and they're not going to grow. So we just talked about trying to maybe assess what's working, what's not working, where do we go from there as far as street trees and landscaping, related to the sidewalks go. So, some goals.
Has there been a lot put back since, Ida, we've been putting, the city's put a lot of trees back, or, replacing, or I don't even.
No,
Or is there a plan around it?
totally separate. There was a tree board, a Hammond tree board, and Leslie Bolner and I are working to try to reestablish that. That would be it's a city thing and not a
Not a us
DDD thing. But yeah, we're trying to do that because, no, nothing's been
Yeah.
put back.
Okay. All right, that's everything for that. Next thing, discussion of this DDD committees.
Yes, so, in kind of visiting sort of a path forward with John, we started discussing some of our past committees that we've had, and we have talked a little bit about, noticing there's a typo on your items in your packet, but we've talked about doing some changes to the farmers market guidelines, and usually how that process would usually happen is by convening the committee. We actually don't have a board representative assigned to be the farmers market committee chair. So in order to, make that a cohesive process, that was something that kind of came up in our discussion to appoint a board member to that committee so it can begin meeting and be involved in those discussions. Currently, that committee is 9 members, and we have not met since last year, truthfully, because of every other thing that has kind of happened. But the committee is all market vendors right now. When we met last year, we did have discussion about including community or customers as a part of the committee, just so that we have more representation from the customer community side of items that they want to see with the market, or just being involved in, talking about the market. So they did discuss that last year, and with some of the things that we need to do, like the guideline update, we would kind of start with them and kind of bringing that committee back together and having discussions about, there's things in our guidelines right now that they're just basically not comprehensive to how the market is operating. Some of our expectations of a ServSafe certification for prepared foods, farm tours for our farmers, also the discussion of rent and adjusting our rents so that they're more in line with, where we are right now and how the market has grown and the services that we offer. So it would be a comprehensive discussion to start with the committee so that we're able to have a better guideline product ultimately.
And what would be the expectation of meetings as far as that committee goes, once a month, or what is the, what is needed for that committee? I mean,
Maybe when we're discussing the guidelines, it might wind up being once a month for maybe 3 months, and then just kind of visiting on an as-needed basis. It could be, I would say like every other month would probably be sufficient. It really depends on, I guess, the topics that need to be discussed in a committee setting.
okay. All right. Well, is there anyone here that is interested in doing that? I mean, I did it last time. I mean, I don't know if we should discuss who would.
I think at this point, don't you
We
need
would
to
wait
wait
for
and do
everybody.
it for 2024? Are you going to have any meetings before the end of this year?
Probably not, oh, excuse me. But the current members that are serving, their term technically was ending at the end of this year. So in terms of just communicating out like what to expect from the committee kind of moving forward, if we open up that nomination process, I just kind of wanted to throw it out to you all to see, you know, where it's kind of sticking right now, because right now it's not active, basically.
Again, it just doesn't, it seems silly to me. Y'all are not going to have any time to pull a committee together. Well, Farmers Market has a committee, but are you, you know, it might be one meeting before the end of the year. And then I know I'm rolling off. Todd is going to choose whether or not he wants to be back on. Y'all are still on. So,
So we don't have enough people here to really make, I guess, to have the conversation about it. So I guess the goal would be by the beginning of the year to nominate somebody by the 1st January? I mean,
Yeah, because we do committee seat nominations the first meeting of the year.
Okay.
you could put that as a board retreat, because the board retreat is supposed to happen at the beginning of the year.
Mhm.
So that's, in the past, other terms that I've been on, that's when we've decided who's going to be chair of what committee, and then at your
Yeah, that's
first meeting, you propose it and vote on it, make it official.
Mhm.
But again, it just doesn't seem like it makes any sense to nominate people for committees now.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
that's fine with me. I just think we have it on the radar that that needs to be done, you know? I mean.
So I guess what we could just do in the interim, because I guess the committee is looking to meet, just as like an update meeting and just to all get together. So they could, I guess, meet in an unofficial capacity, just to kind of have some updates and, let them know what we're planning for as the
For the
new
new
year
year.
kind of comes
Well, if
up.
you need a board member,
Yeah.
that's what I was
I
asking,
could
is
probably
were you
go- I could
planning
go to
on
that.
meeting? Yeah.
I mean, there's no voting or anything on anything, or any decision we can discuss.
Yeah, I guess that's my confusion, is
Yeah.
technically, I guess, in order for it to be considered a committee, it would have to have a board member be appointed to serve as the chair of that committee.
I don't mind chairing that committee if it's once every other month, and I can do that. I mean, I like the market, if you want me to do that. I mean,
Yeah,
I can take that on if it helps.
yeah. I mean, we feasibly will probably only meet one time
Yeah.
this,
While we're
Or-
talking about it, are we going to raise the booth fee this year for it? Because we've been talking about it since the beginning of the year and we haven't done anything.
so that discussion or item would be looped into the guideline revision, because we've got a lot of items that need to be looked at, and that would basically be looped into the guideline revision and having everyone re-sign contracts of their participation as a market vendor. That's how, to my knowledge, it's been done in the past when we did the guideline update in 2018.
I didn't think that the booth rental had ever increased in the history of the farmer's market.
I don't think it has.
That's okay, so there is no precedent for it. But every month that we put it off and we don't do anything, that's revenue. I mean, we put a lot of money, we put a lot of DDT money and time, a lot of staff time goes into the market. So it should at least pay for itself. That's my thought.
Well, I guess I was speaking more generally about when the guidelines have been updated and there's been a policy change, it usually occurs through doing an update. So if we would like to handle the rent in a different way, I mean, it's our program, I mean, we can do whatever we want with it, but,
Well, I think we brought it up at the initial meetings
so-
this year, and we just haven't acted on it. And if we keep putting it off, it's, it's never going to get done.
Yeah, so, well, we're not prepared to do that now because we don't have a plan of how much that would be. You don't have any of that information here. So you're saying at the next board meeting, we could address that issue and hopefully vote on it? We'd have to vote for those changes all at once, the next meeting here?
yeah, so, I
Yeah,
mean,
so
the
that would
plan
be-
was kind of to convene the committee, say this is how the guidelines are being updated, and,
Yeah.
some things would be up for discussion, some things wouldn't be. There could be things that were missing as a part of the market's operation, so that committee would basically discuss that first.
Do we have a clear idea of what the new direction of how much we're gonna ask for them to pay, or a membership? I know we talked about it. Did we ever get a?
Yeah, I mean, I think what is reasonable for what other markets charge is just a metric, one metric that we could look at. It's between $30 to $35 a Saturday,
What is that now?
20, 25. So, and, there are other markets that operate their rental fees differently. They may say they don't run year round, so they say you pay per season, and they only run from like May to August, for example. They have to pay for that full season. Since we operate year round in terms of ease, it's just easiest to say there's a fee per Saturday. But thinking about a different process to collect rents, like collecting them online in terms of prepayment, would also be something that we want to loop into those guidelines so that we don't physically collect money from
Well,
them.
and the other thing that I guess my question would be, and I don't know if this is worth even setting it up this way, but like, I think I kind of talked about like a monthly membership fee that costs the amount of what you would be paying if you actually participated every week of the, of the month. But I know there's rainouts, so I don't know, but. that would-
We currently offer people to pay per month, pay a monthly fee, and not very many of them take advantage of that, I guess, for the reason that,
Would it be more advantageous for us to require that? That way it encourages them to participate more consistently.
Give them like a slight break if they do it by month instead of by week.
And this
That's a
doesn't have to be a
possibility.
profit-making entity, but I think I agree with what she said 100%. You need to cover the cost of what we put into it, what the district puts into it.
When we look at what our mission is, which is to promote business in downtown Hammond, promote and support, and, we've looked at it in the past, we haven't looked at it recently, but when you look at the amount of time that the staff spends on the market, and then the amount of money that we spend on the market, we're putting a lot of heat on something that's
Sure.
not brick and mortar in downtown. And I love the market, and every time I get a chance to go, I go. But, it still appears to some people who pay to be in downtown that we're spending a lot of time and effort and money on the farmer's market. And it just needs to, we need to at least be able to say that it supports itself.
Yeah, that cost needs to be absorbed by the merchants.
yeah, well, I can put those numbers together, and, my thought is it's probably going to be 30 to 35, but if there's another different number that makes
Okay,
sense,
that's
or.
fine. I was just suggesting maybe
Yeah.
collecting a monthly payment. Are you collecting that 35 every day, every time that market is? You're going around collecting everybody's payment? Is that how that's working now? So that's what I'm saying, like, if it was more on like a modern $100 a month, and you can come as all 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, but you're paying $100 a month, and then
Do
you're
they
not
have a requirement?
running around collecting money every.
Like,
Well, remember, they're making, depending on what they're selling, their revenue from that day could be small or large. So they probably need to operate on a weekly basis. And then especially with the farmers, they don't know if their crops are going to come in or going to get an early freeze or a flood or whatever. So I think you're still going to have a lot of them that are going to pay weekly just because the nature of the beast.
Well, Kaylee had a, what was your?
What are their like participation requirements? Like, do they have to attend so many markets? Because I know we have exclusivity to some degree.
Yeah, so right now, this is something that we also want to change. The current guidelines say you have to participate basically 4 times a year or once per season. And that's really reserved for farmers in case they do have crop hardship or for whatever reason that they have to take a season off. But for some of our other vendors, you know, whenever we interview with them, we recommend that they participate at least once a month so that it's worth all of our time, you know, that we know what to expect from them, customers know what to expect from them. So that would be something that we want to change, like participating every 6 weeks, kind of bringing that up a little bit more so that whenever they are applying to us or participating with us, they're also more seriously looking at their business and and we also can expect a more regular participation from them, and that is advantageous to us in
And-
a couple of different ways.
When do they have to let you know if they're participating for that week? Like, do they have to?
Thursday at 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so every week is kind of different, like, based on participation? Okay. Yeah, I think we could definitely figure some sort of pricing structure where if they pay for the month, they maybe get a price cut, or it's like they end up getting a week free, but if they participate the whole month, you know, it's worth it for us.
Yeah, so right now, the way it's currently structured, they do pay per month. I think they get $5 off. It's not very much, but a few of them do take advantage of it. So, you know, all these items that we're talking about right now and kind of bringing up and discussing would be this and more, of like a whole list to kind of just bring our guidelines up to how our market currently structures and the expectations that we have for vendors as they're applying. Because we've transitioned a lot, I think, in the scale and scope of our market. And, you know, we have more serious business owners, or we want to attract more serious business owners that are looking to grow their business versus, you know, someone kind of only coming out as a hobby. So all those guidelines would kind of increase that integrity and help our small business, honestly, understand more about the realities of operating a business.
Yeah. I would think, for me, I would like to see how much is currently coming in, and if we have an accurate record of who's participating on a regular basis. Like, I don't know if we're following up to see if they're making their once whatever, I'm sure we
Yeah.
are. And then maybe come up with a few different options to present so that we can decide on what's best.
Yeah. So maybe not in terms of a monthly basis, but it would a report of those things, like a market report on a monthly basis as a part of these board meetings, would that be helpful? Of like, you know, you can see in your report under the financial statement for farmers market revenue, because it's a separate account. Now, we do collect a lot of payments via credit card, and sometimes the coding that the accounting department can do, I feel like can mix things up between our farmers market revenue and our event revenue. But having that data available on a monthly basis, I mean, that's something that we can.
Yeah, well, why don't we, to have that, to be able to know if we're in the positive or negative or who's showing up, and, I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea.
I'll add one thing. I have a company writing some software for us right now for tastings, so that a customer would be able to reserve a spot at a tasting and pay for it at the same time. And I'm thinking in my brain, this would be a good crossover into farmer's market to where they could do everything electronically. On Thursday at the close-off time, we print the list of who's coming and what booth they have. And I'm just thinking that, and it's not very expensive. It's probably about $50 a month, and that might be something to consider for the future
Yeah.
growth of the market as well, too.
Well, we do have an e-commerce platform that we use for several other items, and so I think the easiest for us would be to use what we currently already have, although what we currently already have doesn't work in all the ways I wish it would work. So, but that is one of the only options that we had with working underneath the city's accounting system and software, basically. And just an update related to trying to see if we can get a separate bank account for farmers market only, since it's a different revenue source. It's not tax funds. Laura, the city finance director, is still trying to figure out what that would look like and how we communicate that to the auditor. And so I think holistically, we want to work more efficiently, we want to work more strategically, and we certainly want to ensure that our time in terms of the DDD is not overly spent on the market. We want to be able to do the same type of promotion and dedication that we have for the market with all of downtown. So I think that resonates with me, and now that we have a full staff back, we can do that more effectively, and kind of implementing some of these systems will only help us do that better.
Okay.
You get to the next upcoming events?
Well, I guess there's other committees as well, and so as we just kind of on your radar for next year, for the residential committee, which we tried reviving in 2020, and I know that John, I think you were part
We had a
of.
really good turnout for people that are interested, and then the follow-through there ended up not occurring, and I don't remember.
We made it
exactly.
way too cumbersome for people
Yeah.
to be on that committee. They had to do a resume, they had to get, they had to get letters from X number of people recommending them to the committee. I mean, that's like being on the board. So if you, again, I'm not going to be here next year. So if you do the residential committee, which I know the residents really, especially the East Side residents, really want the committee back, you need to make it easier for people to be on it
Yeah.
if you want to have a committee.
Yeah.
So, but I do think the way that we marketed that or whatever, it ended up working out well. We had a lot of turnout. It just, we didn't get the commitment after. So,
Yeah. Well, we have successfully transferred over those allotments that we make every year. It's $2,500 per side. We now will have those roll over into project accounts. So instead of it going to our general fund, where it basically goes back to us, the residents can budget now for maybe bigger projects that would be over 2,500. So, and my communication has mostly been with East Side residents, and I think that they asked for this, and so we were able to kind of make good on that. But as we look towards next year and seeing, engaging with these folks and making them more a part of all of our processes, we will certainly do that outreach. And we actually have a database of the East Side residents that Ralph Ross has provided to us, so that's helpful.
all right. And now upcoming events?
So, let me go here. Let's see, let's start with the first one. So we do have Downtown Trick or Treat next Wednesday, and you'll see the map of, most of the businesses are participating. We had some calls come through after we posted things today. And we are likely going to be adding a few more. I kind of gave Katie this event to plan, since when we last spoke, we would be working with the LCDC, and kind of gave it over to Katie to coordinate so she could get her feet wet. So, Katie, if you have anything you'd like to share related to the event, you're more than welcome to.
I mean, you can look at the graphic that's printed out for you. It cut off a little bit. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, so originally we had 29 participating businesses for the event, and we had a couple of late submissions today. So we're at a total of 32 now. And on here, you can see the attractions that the LCDC will host within their parking lot, such as the fire truck, a photo backdrop provided by the creative studio, Miss Kaylee Norton, some food vendors, but not food that's going to be in competition with downtown businesses. It's going to be lemonade, some sweets, candied nuts, things like that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a great time. I'm excited about the turnout and the specials that certain businesses will be hosting as well. So that way, people will be encouraged to stay downtown and eat and really explore the area after they're done getting the candy. So yeah, I'm excited for it. It's going to be fun.
I'm really confused. I read the minutes from the last meeting, and that is not what I remember. So sometime between now and the next meeting, I would like to listen to the tape of that discussion, because the way we ended it was that DDD was not this was not a DDD event. That if the Discovery Center wanted to do something, that was fine, but we were not doing it. I've had several people like reach out to me and go, I thought that was the decision from the meeting that it wasn't going to happen. So I'm just confused because I know 3 times we said we weren't having this event. And now not only are we having it, but it's bigger than it was. And I had one downtown merchant tell me today that she sat and watched people getting pushed out in the street in that block between Oak and Magnolia, and parents snatching up their kids and leaving because it was just out of control, too many people. That was her primary concern. Her secondary concern was that her business gets clogged with people who they're not there to buy anything, and they're just there to use her bathroom. And so she was really upset that we were doing this again. So I know that there are people who want to do it and want to have it, and that's great, but that's not what we decided. So what's the point of having a board if we're going to talk about it, make a decision, and then we do exactly the opposite?
I don't remember, I thought we said that we were gonna handle it, but we were gonna give some portion to,
That's not how we left it at the last meeting. That's what I'd like to listen, because maybe I remember incorrectly, so I'm going to be...
Shelved. I thought it was shelved.
Thank you. We had somebody in the audience who heard the same thing, heard we were not moving forward with it. So, I'd just like to, it's too late to not do it. Y'all got your way.
well, there was no vote either way.
We said, we asked, do we need to vote? No, we're not doing it. That's the second time that's happened.
There we go.
So...
Well, that's kind of voting. If we say no, we're just not doing it. That's kind of saying we're not doing it.
Well, again, it's too late, but I'm having to answer for, I thought it was very clear we weren't doing it. How is this happening again? So y'all are spending time on this. That was one thing, was to not do it because you needed something off your plate. And now it's not only are we doing it, but it's bigger. So that's all I have to say. I guess one more thing was, how did you solicit businesses? Because I know of at least 2 that say they never got anything about whether or not they wanted to participate in this.
So I guess I can address some items related to the last board meeting.
I just want to listen to the minutes between now and the next board meeting, because we're not voting on these minutes. So I would just like to come and listen to it and hear what was said.
Okay. So I guess we'll just kind of leave it at, what question would you like us to address, I guess?
How were businesses solicited?
So, we did send out a newsletter providing a link for businesses to register for the event, and it was available on our website as well. I posted a couple of reminders on the DDD Instagram story, but it was on a private one that was only exclusive to businesses that could view it, where I posted links for them to sign up.
So would I be one of those businesses? Because I never got that.
If you're not on the newsletter, I'd be confused as to why, but I know that it is available on the website, and we posted about it on social media as well. And I also did some personal outreach. I looked at businesses who participated last year.
I participated last year. I'm just asking.
Yeah. I took what was available to me and outreach to businesses that participated last year, seeing if they'd want to do it again this year. And I did come to find out that a few of the emails that I used were supposedly, and I didn't realize this, were no longer accurate because maybe that person left the company or whatever. So I, caught that and then continued on.
Well, I think that's always going to be a struggle. Keeping a database completely current is always going to be a struggle. The question is, what would be the expectation in the future for any event for those businesses to feel that they've been reached out to? What else
That's
can we
been,
do?
Christina from time to time felt like she never got information about different events. So yeah, it is something that the DDD should always continue to work on. But I was surprised when I saw this email today, because I'd had a conversation, I'd been approached about it earlier today Was it happening? Was it not happening? This is another business owner that did participate last year, and she didn't know anything about it. So,
So, I mean, in terms of outreaching to businesses, we basically we've done the same strategy that we've done for all of our events. And so I know we have had trouble with using MailChimp and emails going to spam, or if there's a manager email versus an owner's email, we are trying to make sure that we do keep our database current and accurate. And so it did come to our attention that with new businesses changing and whatnot, it's always going to be something that we have to work on. But I think I would just like to state, in terms of my understanding of our last board meeting and the events that have transpired to the event that we're actually hosting, whenever we did meet several times, we discussed it, I was informed and I took the direction that we were not doing the event. And so in trying to relay that information to other board members, there was some discussion that happened behind the scenes. And last meeting, we did have a merchant meeting before our board meeting, and there was a lot of discussion about trick or treat. Kaylee and Chelsea were both at that meeting. And from our board meeting discussion with kind of talking about everything was we would partner with LCDC, and while it would basically be a partnership for that event, or at least that's what I left with the understanding of, and I know that we did not vote on it. So I understand kind of, it's been confusing for us as well, because
again, I just want to listen to the minutes before the next
Right.
meeting.
I think in the future, to make this way clearer, is we should just vote on it. That way there's that way it's official, because it was kind of left up in the air in this weird cloudy space. So we really should just vote on it. That would be the determinant, right? I mean.
Yeah, so I have to leave in 10 minutes. Do we have anything that we need to vote on? Because y'all won't have a quorum when I leave.
we can finish in 10 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, so Farmers Market Fall Fest is happening October 26th. You'll see some of those details in the staff report. Starry Saturday, we have everything launched and it's available on our website. You can see the poster here in your packet. We have had some feedback about the structure of the event, and just wanting to assure to everyone that we are ensuring that we're focusing on our brick and mortar businesses, similar to the marketing strategy that we have for Hot August with business highlights and making sure we know what they're doing. That is going to happen with this event as well, and we'll continue those promotions into the holiday season. I understand that we are partnering with several organizations for this, and I guess I know that Kaylee's here, and she may be able to speak to some of our planning adaptations that we may have to take a look at just with capacity with LCDC. I don't know if you want
So,
to talk about that.
well, I think just in general, before we put too much information out, we are trying to ensure that the event is structured to make money for our businesses and for LCDC. So it's not just a free event that we're throwing. Of course, we will have elements that are, free or whatever, but LCDC is going to have the portion from noon to 3 to occupy families, but we're working with the details for that to make sure that it's more of not a free Santa event that people can just show up for, but it is some sort of structure to that. So that's all the information I have at this point, because we have to meet with our board about that, but we are participating, just it's going to be structured.
So I know that Amanda reached out to you about this. We talked about Starry being kickoff for the retail in downtown. There's nothing on here that the wine and cheese is from 4 to 7. None of those businesses will be open. Your brick and mortar retail businesses are going to be open from 10 a.m. to 2 or 4. So we're promoting the farmers market, we're promoting the nighttime market, we're promoting the children's center. So we talked, and I know you talked about doing social media stuff and whatever, but people who see this, and I know you added something since I saw it last time about all day shop, dine, explore. That's kind of, so all day shop, again, that's going to close between 2 and 4. So it's kind of a people are going to come for that wine and cheese and expect those retail businesses to be open, and they're not. So we talked about at the last meeting, maybe moving that up. So it was, I think Chelsea mentioned maybe do cookies, some people be able to do cookies and hot chocolate, or do champagne, do mimosas, do something like that. So it could be during retail business hours, because we said that Hot August was restaurants and bars, Starry was retail or merchants.
I don't get it.
Don't get what?
These comments, and the reason that I don't is because how much information can you include on one flyer?
I'm just saying, the only event that could be supported, that could bring people into the retail businesses in downtown, the only thing that's on here that could do that is the wine and cheese. And it's from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m., and none of those businesses are going to stay open.
And my opinion of that, and this is just how I operate in my brain, is that anytime there's a convergence on downtown of people, they are going to step into different places. And I
Not
feel
if
like-
they're not open.
Well, I would encourage our
You can
businesses to
stay
stay
open.
open late because
They're not going to be open from 4 to 7. You can't find people to work from your normal hours in retail right now.
Yeah, but-
Asking,
So there's the market from 8 to noon, which brings people downtown, right?
it conflicts with parking, so normally my busy hours on Saturday are after the market closes.
Okay. Then Jingle Jubilee noon to 3, so there'll be people with kids.
Probably not shopping.
But I'm saying, I just know that, I'm just trying to say from a standpoint of, this is an exposure thing. I feel like when people come downtown in general, whether you get a hit from that day as much as you thought you should, I don't know it's always this metrics of how I feel like somebody feels, rather than, like, I would love to see numbers from these retailers. Like, I'd love to see that, because.
I'm just telling you,
Yeah.
we as a board said, correct me if I'm wrong, Hot August is going to be bars and restaurants, which is fine. That's what Hot August needs to be. And that Starry would feature our brick and mortar retail.
So what is the suggestion on the flyer for that, is my question.
The suggestion at the last meeting was that we not have the wine stroll in the evening. It conflicts with the movie,
So to have it during.
To have it
midday.
during-
12 to 4.
Yeah, let businesses do, if they want to do mimosas, if they want to have hot chocolate, if they want to do something different, but that draw would be into those
The direct
businesses.
go in, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably too late to do it now, and that's fine, but, we did throw it out there before this got put together, before the schedule got finalized. It's not, I'm putting information out there. Y'all can choose to listen to it, to ignore it, to do whatever you want. That's fine. I'm just one person, but I am the only person on the board that speaks for retail in downtown Hammond. So we always talk about we want more retail, but what we do time and time again is anti-retail. So if you don't want to hear it, I won't be here next year. You won't have to hear it.
Well, do you think that's with purpose, or do you think that's just a miss? Do you think that was purpose?
I think that
Anti-retail?
do
Do you think we're really anti-retail?
I think we do a lot of things. I don't remember if it was the end of last year or the beginning of this year, I brought to the board, as a retail business, you have choices where you locate. If you locate at the mall, you locate in a strip shopping center, you locate someplace like that, everything they do is to promote and support that business. They don't do things to take away parking. They don't do things after your store hours. They don't, they do things to promote and support your business. And in downtown, it's almost like you're fighting against that a lot. Now, we changed. Hot August was the parking. We didn't take the parking up. It was great. People got to, not just retail, that's bars and restaurants too. That's anybody who has a business in downtown, that if they have somebody who can park and they can get to their business, that is a plus. So, but if you want, we specifically said, and what people in downtown heard, was that we were going to focus Starry, kick off the Christmas shopping season. I mean, it really kicks off before that, but like a big official Christmas kickoff shopping. And that's not what this does. So it's fine if that's what you want this to be, but don't tell retail people that this is kicking off their retail shopping, because it's not.
Okay.
That's not feelings, that's fact.
Well, I can't speak intelligently to boutique clothing, but I can speak intelligently to alcohol consumption. And truthfully, Saturdays, we really don't do any business till 2 p.m. in the alcohol world. So I think maybe if we'd have done it from
Those are-
2.
Yeah, those are
from 2,
different businesses.
But if we would have done it from 2, then it could have covered a couple of hours in some other businesses.
I think,
Four might be a little late.
they're going to stay, I think most of the
But I don't
people
think-
who
I don't think
close
mine's
at
late.
2 are going to stay open until 4 on this day. But still, we're going to be closing at the time that this starts. So,
Well, is it feasible to move the time at this point?
I mean, I think it's all a matter of
Maybe too late.
communicating. In terms, we've only had registrations from businesses. Ticket sales will occur on November 1st, once we get approval from city council. So, I
I
mean,
think it's too late to move it. That's fine. I'm just pointing out, we did talk about it
I do remember
before this
talking about
got
it
done.
time.
It's in the minutes.
Yeah, no, I remember talking about
It's
it.
in the minutes.
Yeah.
well, I did come up with a schedule, and Chelsea is the events chair. I know she's not here today. But Chelsea and I did talk about the schedule. We talked about switching the wine and cheese walk time. Last year, we had it from 3 to 6, and the feedback from the people who were participating in the wine and cheese walk at that time was that it was too early. And so I would have to look back at our text messages, but I think this schedule was kind of dreamed up for, I guess, a few different reasons. And I mean, I will acknowledge that I did not have as much time to focus on all of those really. I guess if I had only Starry to focus on, I think that it could have been a more well thought out. I would have had time to work through all of those logistics and, do all of those things. And I know that that's just an excuse. So I think with what we have so far and what this says, I think our commitment as staff is still to work with our retailers and engage them. And I understand that this may not be the gesture of what they're looking for, but I think we can only improve related to that feedback. And I hope that whoever is listening, that that's taken honestly for moving forward.
Do you think we would benefit from a group text, like, just so we could communicate about these things other
we
than just
can't.
at this
Yeah.
format?
We can't.
Oh, we can't? It's not legal? Oh, sorry. Never mind.
Okay.
I use them all the time.
If government didn't have red tape.
No, we can't even email. We have to be careful what we email, group email about.
Gotcha. Okay, never mind.
So communication is a challenge.
Well, I will say,
Bouncing thoughts off of each other.
our photos that we are doing is going to be it's geared towards the retailers specifically, to really highlight the business owners. And I'm taking the photos in November, and then we are gonna have them turned over before this event to start promoting for holiday. And the whole focus of that was really to highlight our downtown business owners and put faces. People, you know, it's a small town, people like to see the faces of.
I don't know anything about that.
We did put it in a newsletter. We'll have to check to see if you're getting our newsletters. But we'll be doing more outreach for that so that people can sign up.
And that's the other thing, when we find out, like, you said you talked to somebody that did not get an email or something, can we get that to her? That way we know who that is and check to see if we have the right
Yeah,
information.
because I did see the email
Yeah.
about the.
Like whoever it
all
is
the
that's saying,
things.
I'm not getting an email, we need to make sure that they have, it, you know, that's the correct, so. All right, next is,
So, let's just see if we can just, I guess, we'll all have Shop Small Saturday. We applied to be a neighborhood champion, so we'll have whatever additional items that American Express gives us this year for that. Shop Small Saturday is on the 25th. And so our goal, I know that they kind of run back and forth, but is to kind of, after Starry, is to kind of get that Shop Small campaign, you know, just advertising downtown as a place where people can shop and, you know, them knowing, you know, we've got parking, we've got retailers, you know, it's a place that people can come. So we'll be having more of those details at our November meeting for what that promotion strategy through the holiday season looks like. Staff report, you can just see an update here. John was asking for feedback or an update on the annual partner sponsorship program. So we've had more hits, I guess, with our one-time sponsorships. You can see those listed there. And that's more or less involved with our events. We'll be putting a list together for some other organizations that we'd like to partner with to approach to them about the bronze, silver, and gold opportunities. Project updates. All these items are still kind of flowing right now. The only item I'll bring to your attention is the sidewalk reimbursement program. The guidelines and the application are on our website. And I have made it, I have sent an email to the folks that I know who have approached the design committee and were interested in learning more about that program. I did email that to them. Kaylee kind of already mentioned the photos, and then looking at advertising at Chapapila, which is something we've talked about a lot, and just trying to see what that pricing looks like. And you know, we want to put our DDD logo out there. We want to make sure it says, you know, like 10 minutes west, you know, 50 plus locally owned shops and restaurants, like come visit downtown Hammond. So we're trying to see how they can modify some of their current offerings to make sure that we're taking advantage of the captive audience that goes to the sports park every year. I am doing certified Louisiana economic developer courses through a scholarship for some portions from the Small Business Development Center. So I completed the site development course earlier this month, and we'll be doing another one in December. You can see some of our new businesses that are moving in there at different addresses, and farmers market update. And we do have a few different office closures in November due to city observed holidays and the Thanksgiving holiday. So I'd be happy to, I know that Cassie has to leave and I didn't want to keep you up. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I'm good. Anybody else? Meeting adjourned.
All good?
Boom. Thank you.
Oh, also, this is what the sample, this is